What is up, Scrub Gang, and welcome back to another video on the Everyday Gaming channel. Today's video is a little bit different, but something similar to what we've done in the past. We're going to be doing a recoil test for you guys today for the LMGs. Reason I want to do this is because I know a lot of people just use the Bruin or maybe the PKM, but I see the Bruin a ton, and so I wanted to just give you guys an idea of the recoil patterns of some other LMGs, so that it might convince you to take it into Warzone. Now we'll talk about damage and TTK maybe in another video, but I think this will help some of the less experienced players sort of handle gunfights with LMGs and help them decide which is best for them. So let's I'm gonna start down here with the PKM. Actually, I want to start with I'll do the SA87. I know the recoil for this goes crazy to the right, so I'm gonna push up to this wood plank here and kind of start there with every single weapon. Now, this is not a super far distance, right? So it's not as accurate for the engagements you're gonna have in Warzone, but it'll give you an idea of the recoil pattern. So let's try and start right there. Alright, so it has some pretty crazy jump, and for every weapon, actually, I want to empty it out to 50, so we don't have crazy going off the thing here. We can have a more realistic sense of the recoil. This is now the PKM. PKM is pretty straightforward. Just goes straight up and down, at least for the first 50 shots. So I like that a lot. Very easy to control. Pretty, of course it has, it's jumping a lot, but it's just a straight line. You just hold your right stick down a little bit, and that's pretty much controlled. All right, so let's switch to the next two weapons. All right, so right now we're here with the M91 and the MG34. Let me empty this out to 50. And I'm emptying these out to 50 because the SA87, the build I use on it, only has 50 rounds in the magazine. So I'm kind of just standardizing all of them over the first 50 shots. Now I understand you might use a 60 round, and I know you're going to be using 65 with the Bruin, but I thought 50 was a good number to test with. So here we are. I'm going to actually do the MG34 first because I do remember the M91 having some significant recoil to the left. So
I'm almost down.
So the MG34, similar to the PKM, but it has a little more significant jumps and spreads between the bullets. If you can see here, this is much tighter of a grouping than this. There's some significant gaps. And I can tell you for sure, over a longer period, I think that over 75 rounds with the MG34 will probably go as high or higher than a PKM with a full 100. Let's do the M91 here. I'm actually gonna, maybe I should move over. That's fine. All right, here we go.
Low on ammo.
All right, so M91 definitely has a pretty interesting pattern. Sorry, this is the ungodly reload on the MG34 for only 75 rounds. Okay. Starts off going to the right and sharp turn to the left. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Within those first few shots, there's a sharp cut to the left, which I don't really like. It's kind of interesting, but very tight grouping. Not as much, horizontal jumping and sporadic movement as the MG34. All right, so let's switch over to the next two. All right, so for the next two, we have the Holger and the Bruin. Of course, fan favorites. Oh, yeah, 60 round mag. I don't know why I said 65 for the Bruin. But let's start off with the Bruin. Why not? The Bruin, of course, received nerfs. The recoil isn't as, good as it used to be, but it still hits like a truck. Let's test it here. So, through 50 rounds, significantly less jump. It's about half the recoil of all these other weapons with 50 rounds. That is pretty insane if you ask me. It seems like we're going to have a pretty clear-cut winner, but we'll test the Holger and all that. Alright, so we'll line ourselves up here, move over. I might actually move over more because I think these recoil patterns might interfere with each other. Yep. Okay, so I definitely was right. But look, the Holger significantly less jump over 50 rounds than the Bruin. So that's very, very interesting. It just has a really sharp, hard turn to the right. But it might be easier to control because the Bruin, you know, goes up and then cuts to the left. This one's kind of sort of a complete gradual turn to the right the entire time. That one's actually very interesting. I'd actually like to shoot that again. Huh. So over 100 rounds, basically at the same distance. This doesn't have as much jump as something like. The Bruin at 60 rounds. It's a little bit more, but that was 100 rounds I put into that wall there. And that's 60. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, let's move on to the next weapon. Okay, so as you probably have guessed, the next weapon I have here is the Fin. Let's empty this out to... And I have the long shot adverse barrel on this, if you guys are wondering. Most of these weapons are going to have, you know, your standard Warzone setups. Monolithic, guys. Variation on either the Merc or the Ranger foregrip. I don't run Commando foregrips on my LMGs. They're already super slow. What's the point? I do run tac lasers, though. Monolithic suppressor, always, always, always. And you've seen, clearly, it's usually the VLK sight on these bad boys. Unless it's the MG34, I'm not even running a sight on it. But I can actually go through and show you guys here the builds. That's for the PKM. SA87. You'll notice no laser on this because I have to change the ammunition on it. Here is the M91. The MG34. This one is one I would love to use because it shreds, but has a lot of recoil over only, you know, a 75 round belt, and it's just super, super, super slow in all ways. Here's my Holger build. The Bruin. And now we're on to the Fin. Now this one I think is very interesting. I have tested this one out before, and I want to show you guys how interesting this is. So over 50 shots.
I'm almost out.
Now, had I done that with a full 75 or more, you would have noticed something interesting. I don't know if you did notice what happens at the top here. You know, I'm going to shoot the full 75 from a similar distance. It doesn't even matter where I aim. Just watch this really quickly. Actually, I'll try and shoot lower. Do you see that? Do you see that at the top of this thing stopped here at about, I don't even know. You know what? Hold on. Let's I'm going to respawn and do that again. Oh my goodness. That's for about 35 rounds. You have absolutely no recoil. With that kind of fire rate, that is absolutely insane. I mean, this is with 50 rounds, and it jumps up quick and it just completely stops. That's pretty insane. And I think even... Let's just shoot the full 75 to see how it compares to 50. Now, I was much closer, so that actually wasn't an accurate test. But, I mean, that's just insane. You know what? I'm going to hold on. I got to test this again.
Get moving.
With a full 75, it's barely higher than when you have 50. So very, very interesting. And just let's just talk about the results here before this time runs out, or I guess after it runs out. All right, guys, so if I had to choose one of these weapons, and it was based, you know, solely on these recoil patterns, I think I might be choosing, it had to be between the Bruin and the Fin. But honestly, I'd probably give my edge to the Fin, guys. For that kind of fire rate, for that weapon to literally stop at the top of its recoil pattern and just not move, that's pretty insane. There's really, you know, and it only goes straight up in a line. It'd be different if it was, you know, bouncing left and right, cutting hard left, cutting hard right, like some of the other ones we saw, even with the Bruin. The Bruin didn't go super high vertically, but it had a cut, you know, to the side. So the Fin right now, the recoil on it is absurd. to think that it's shooting that fast. And you see, you lose recoil control with that attachment. You know, I think it'd be very interesting to even look at just the long shot without the increase in fire rate. I know a lot of people won't or don't use that, but I think that would be definitely an interesting test to do as well. So definitely try that out if you guys can. I use the Adverse on just because I want to put a lot of shots on target as fast as possible in Warzone. I mean, you see the recoil really isn't that bad. At ranges, of course, it's going to be harder to control as every weapon is, but that's pretty insane. I think that was very, very interesting, and I'd like to analyze, you know, maybe the times to kill these weapons. Of course, you can find those online. The Fin, I think, actually has one of the fastest time to kills, or the fastest out of the LMGs. And paired with that kind of recoil, you know, this one, not seeing it used enough, and I'm wondering why. Very, very interesting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, if you learned something, like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification icon, guys. If you're new, welcome to the Scrub Gang. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And of course, I'll see you here next time.
Konnichiwa.
神羅天聖